Hey everybody, welcome back to Northernlion, place of Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Plus, you know what? Forgotten. Eden forgotten. Eden forgotten. Eden forgotten. Eden forgotten. Dude, we're looking baller. WD6TBA72, Dad, don't say baller. Look, okay? You're right. Can I pick up these? I can. Yo, okay. We've fully ascended as this character. I know we have 2 lifetime deaths, which is just unacceptable. Most people only ever get to 1, I suppose. But I really feel... no, I was just about to say I've got this character figured out. And then I realized I could have just become the soul. Even if we couldn't have grabbed the items, it could have just started to fly. And that would have been... yeah, okay, valid point. Okay, you know what? You got a good... looks like hubris has gotten the better of me once again. He's a genius. Okay, never mind. I'm the master again. Okay, try this. Just it's not as centered as I'd like, but get the job done. I don't even know if we had a trinket. That's the danger. We must not have. We're not eating, so. Hematemesis. Puberty. Bad trip. Ay, come on. Apparently, they did make it in the most recent patch, which is probably like 2 weeks old. As of the time this video goes live, because of the way that I live my life. They made it so that if you take red heart damage on the 2nd floor, you do lose your bone heart. You do lose your deal with the devil synergy thanks to your bone heart being hit. So, now it's not necessarily a guarantee any longer that the deal with the devil will exist with a certainty on the 2nd floor, which I think is extremely positive. Make this character a little bit more difficult, without making it like, you know, comical or unfun. This is a much better item here. Throw another bomb down. Nah. Anti-grav, I suppose, could have been fun, but... dude, 100% of the time, I'll never apologize for it either. Mom's Knife is a cool synergy with Bone Lord. If you don't like it, Napoleon, you can leave. It's basically a damage bonus and a sick-looking tier. So I'm never going to say no to this. It's like a demonic boomerang. Look at that. Looks like Satan's lawnmower. 2 of hearts. Why not? It's actually one of the very, very few times that's going to be useful. Oh my god, it's an XL floor. Wait a minute. Is it only if you lose a bone heart that you lose the deal with the devil chance then? Because I definitely still have a 100% chance. What's up with that? Have I been lied to on Twitter? Or did I just misinterpret? HP's looking a little dangerous. That's what we're here for. We're living for this weirdness. Definitely should not have taken those spirit hearts. That's very foolish. You know what, though? We'll go for deals with the angel. Now, we could have taken duality, and then we could have gotten deals with the angel much more easily. And you know what? To that I say, okay, Mr. Smart Person, I wasn't thinking about that. So it turns out you're right. Does that make you happy? Yeah, just walk out. Break the wrist, walk away. Well, it's certainly, it appears, right off the bat, probably going to be in a pretty good way on this boss fight. And by this boss fight, I mean this entire run in general. I don't want Ouroboros Swarm. I've told you many times, I don't know what it does. Maybe I'll go look it up. I've been trying to be better about looking things up, you know. There's no shame in using the documentation. The sun. Don't dislike it. Okay. Ouroboros Worm Isaac. Tears travel in a large spiral pattern. Grant spectral tears +4 range, +2 tier height, a luck-based chance for a homing shot reaching 100% and 9 luck. Really? Give me a second. Well, it appears to do nothing here. For me, at least. What about when we're playing as the soul? Right, nothing. So, Mom's Knife synergy, maybe not the best, huh? Why is our speed so low? I don't know what's happening, but what else is new? Anyway, did I look up the right trinket? Stop. I gotta try to remember. We should be down to like just our Boneheart husk right now, so that's very dangerous. Take the pony, and honestly, like, don't get the heck out of town just yet, but you know, we might be on, because we took that experimental treatment earlier, we might be a little in a weird spot right now as far as HP goes. So I'm gonna take the ability to fly, as I already did mere moments ago. I used the sun, honestly not for mapping at all. I used it pretty much exclusively to get my HP back. What do you got for me? Health up. It's another health up on top of that.
Pretty fly.
Pretty amazing. Okay, what do I want to see here? Let's use our noggin. This obviously won't do anything for us. Don't hit it to demonstrate the point. Okay. Now, this is just... You know, this is like when you tell two different people what you want for your birthday, and then they show up and they both give you the same thing, and you're like, you know, what did I expect? I acted like I wanted HP. I got a ridiculous amount of HP. It's very nice. It means that the game cares about me. Happened to me once when I was in the 6th grade. I asked for Pokemon cards for my birthday. Two of my friends who came to my birthday party bought me the same pre-made Pokemon card deck from Toys R Us. It was a grass and poison type deck. And that was the last time I spoke to either of them. Because I'm a water type player. So I never really... See, this is the danger of growing up as like an only child, going to a small school. Okay, this is getting ridiculous, etc., etc. Having no friends. I had like very little opportunity to actually play the Pokemon trading card game. Even though I was there, people assume that I dislike Pokemon. It's not that. I was there during the zeitgeist, you know? I was 10 or 11 when it came to North America. I was way into it. And I just kind of OD'd on it. I never want to see it again. So don't assume, okay? This is like in Dodgeball, you know? You see the old grizzled guy in the bar, and you think that, oh, what does he know about Dodgeball? Little did you know, he's the former Dodgeball champion. He's just fallen on hard times as a result of trauma. You know, I was there at the generation of it, at least from a North American context. Either way, though, you know, I never got a chance to actually play the trading card game by its official rules as much as I would have liked when I were younger. When I was younger. What I do remember is that me and my neighbor went to Toys R Us once. I assume this is horrible? Yeah, pretty terrible. We both bought like a pack of Pokemon cards each, or a few packs, and then we made like makeshift decks that were ignorant of the rules and played against one another. But I had gotten a Blastoise in one of my packs, and he had gotten a Charizard. So, you know, the Charizard, I understand, that was like the chase rare. You know, everybody was happy to have a Charizard, and the Blastoise, slightly lower tier, I suppose. But, oh my god, it's Sacred Heart yet again. Look at the range. Did you see the range on this? But, I gotta tell you, if there's two people, one of them's holding the Blastoise, one of them's holding the Charizard, you'd rather be the one holding the Blastoise, is all I'm trying to say. I won a lot of those informal games.
Oh, Charizard might be a fire type, but he also has physical...
I don't know, okay? I don't know what his special scaling stat is or when you start teaching him Hyper Beam. When I was a kid, we didn't worry about that. You beat the Elite 8, you're on your way. You could use a Tentacool if it makes you feel better. I also remember there was in my hometown, there was a game store, comic book store, that I believe no longer exists. It used to be called Nomax. And there were like multiple locations. It was back in the, you know, 1990s or early 2000s. Right, okay, I remember this. You could have a store named like Nomax, it's no problem. Now everything's like the Best Buy. You heard of this store? Anyway. And the owner of the store, or at least one of the people who managed it, I don't know if he was the owner, but every adult at a store when you're 11 years old is an owner, as far as you're concerned. You could play him in a Pokemon battle. His deck had 4 Charizards in it. At least that was the local legend. I never played him personally. His deck had 4 Charizards in it, and if you beat him, I think you got a Charizard. I don't know if you had to pay to play him or something like that. You know, again, it's a different era. They're doing all sorts of weird stuff back then before, you know, regulation stepped in. Used to go to the local convenience store. I bought a paper bag with $1 written on it. Inside, roughly 50 cents worth of candy. And you know what? I said, thank God for the privilege. There's the mystery bag. Usually full of all the chalky stuff made in like 1947 that nobody eats anymore because it contains asbestos. This is a run where we're going to be going heavy into anecdotes because, not sure if you noticed, there's not a whole heck of a lot of strife right now. We're at like a maximum HP. We have an outrageous amount of damage. We have Sacred Heart and Mom's Knife, which I hilariously think is actually the second time we've had that exact combination on this character. So, you know, that's pretty good. It's pretty good. Do you guys have like a cool oh, we unlocked Bozo. Incredible. You guys have a cool spot where all the cool kids from your high school or middle school or wherever went to go? I grew up in a school that was like sincerely in the country. So, you know, sometimes Kate tells me stories. She's like, you know, she went to one of these fancy pants, you know, these city slicker high schools out here. She's like, yeah, when people like skipped class, I don't know why I'm using my wife's voice like that. She said when people used to skip class, they used to go to like, you know, the mall. We didn't do that. I mean, first off, I'm just being straight up with you, and I could have done with some loosening up in high school. I'm just gonna level with you. I'm not ashamed of this. I never skipped a single class in high school, and I'm being sincere with you. Part of the reason I never skipped a single class is because there was nothing to do, as you'll see from our upcoming anecdote. There were 2 places, let's say 3 places that people went from my high school if they skipped class. One of them was a convenience store across the street. One of them, what do you got for me, Hermit? Next floor, I suppose. One of them was a town over. There was a Dairy Queen. And then another one was another, like a different town over, or over in the different direction, there was a Subway. So sometimes you'd be like, hey, where's Ben? Ben's not in geography class today? What's up with that? And like, Ben? He skipped to go to the Subway. He skipped to go hang out at the convenience store. That's where the cool kids hung out in my high school, is they went to the convenience store instead of going to class. In case you're looking for a metaphor about youth being wasted on the young. And the dude who owned the convenience store, despite owning a convenience store across the street from a high school and like 90% of his customer base coming from the high school, he was a real jerk. One time I was in there with, and I was too young to talk back to him, and if I could go back in time, you know, this would be like the first place I'd go for sure. Would I go back and buy Apple stock? Nah. Would I go back, you know, start playing Minecraft in 2009 on my YouTube channel? Nah, dude. You know what I'd do? I'd go back to this moment in 9th grade where my friends and I went to that convenience store on our lunch break because we were responsible. And, you know, my friends bought something. I didn't buy anything. And then as I was leaving, the dude was like, hey, you! Like, let me see inside of your backpack. And I, you know, I didn't know any better. It's the Patriot Act days. I let him see inside my backpack, as you would expect. It's full of a bunch of, like, you know, books. And probably, like, crumpled up paper and stuff like that. And I wasn't stealing anything, because I was raised properly. And then he was embarrassed when he looked through my backpack that I didn't steal anything. And he said, you kids always coming in here with your backpacks on, hanging around the chocolate bars. And I was just like, yeah, okay, whatever, dude, sorry. I want to go back, give that. He's probably dead now, like. Well, let me think. He was probably like in his mid-60s. Didn't seem like he was taking good care of himself. And this would have been like 2002. Yeah, I mean, God rest him, of course, and all that. But he was kind of a real jerk. You know, you can't just accuse somebody of stealing. You gotta have a loss prevention officer there to, like, watch them, and then you catch them on the way out, and then you hold them there. You make them cry. You say you're gonna call the police. When the tears start coming, you say, okay, I'm not gonna call the police, but don't you dare ever do that again. And then you've taught them a lesson, all for the price of, you know, maybe a couple of Lost O. Henry bars or something like that. O. Henry is a candy bar in Canada. I don't know if they have it in other parts of the world. I saw something. I was not aware, or maybe even still I'm not aware of the prevalency of, like, shoplifting. I kind of feel like we might as well take it because we're at 0 risk of death. Oh my lord, this run is good. So, Kate and I were... I forget where we were, but we were near a grocery store that we go to all the time. We were driving, and we were stopped at a red light. Kate goes, oh, look at this. And I look to my right, and there's like 3, you know, they look like young teenagers. They get maybe 15, 16 years old, leaving the grocery store. One of them pulls up his shirt, and in the waistband of his boxer shorts, he's got like a salami that he clearly stole from the deli section of the grocery store. And then he started jumping up and down like, yeah! We're gonna eat like kings tonight! It's like, man... I had no... First off, the franchise that was stolen from... this isn't a Robin Hood situation. I'm not advocating shoplifting, of course. But, like, they can afford it. But, at the same time, hey, kid, you ever consider, like, maybe waiting until you get around the corner? Like, as a kid, I think if I... had stolen it, and this is why I didn't shoplift, I suppose, but if I had stolen anything, I would have waited like 6 months. I would have put that salami, you know, in the freezer, wrapped in like an opaque bag or something like that. And then it'd be like, okay, I think the heat's off me. Then I'd unwrap it and have some, you know, adult Lunchables or something like that. This kid is just, as soon as he got out of the store, he's like, I'm untouchable. It's out of your jurisdiction, Dwayne. I don't admire it, because I think it's, and by the way, I know already what's gonna happen in the comments. Please spare me the internet typical reaction of immediately rushing to the defense of someone who did something. Maybe he and his friends are all homeless, and they needed that salami in order to get sustenance so they could continue to look for work, and... you know, they were jumping for joy because they haven't eaten in several days. Wouldn't you jump for... It's like my friend, you know, in high school who always, you know, he advocated for Napster. He's like, if a family was starving, should they be prosecuted for stealing bread? Well, what if music is like my bread and I need it to live? Again, I'm not getting into that whole discussion. That's for you to deal with. But, nah, like, I suppose it's possible, okay? But I still think you should resist the notion of assuming the best from this situation. Should you assume the best of people? I don't know. If I see someone on the street, I don't immediately assume that they're a jerk. If I see them walk out of a grocery store and brag about having some stolen merchandise, I think that's like, if this is the only thing I know about your personality, I'm not gonna judge you too hard, because, you know, you're also a teenager. You know, people can change for sure. But at the same time, I mean, like, Mark Wahlberg knocked out that dude's eye when he was a teenager, right? And now he's starring in family-friendly movies. So, if Marky Mark can get some redemption, I can let this 16-year-old off the hook, no doubt. That being said, I wouldn't necessarily assume the most noble of intentions right off the bat. So I'm, like, genuinely actually sorry that this run is gonna be over so soon unless we get Void. But the other thing I want to say is, like, what do you want? We have such incredible... We have 48 damage. I'm supposed to deliberately slow myself down when I'm driving a supercar on the Nürburgring? I don't think so, dude. That's right, I know what the Nürburgring is. I used to play some racing games. I'm hip, I'm with it. Anyway. So chocolate milk does work here, right? It's weird, but also cool. Bob's brain is not zany enough to even take it as a Zane-based item. What? Okay, now I rescind my earlier apology for this run being short, because now it's hilarious, and there's nothing to complain about. In 20 minutes, we're gonna have 40 minutes worth of entertainment. This is a very, very fun one. So yeah, I don't know where I stand, except to say that if I could go back in time, as a 29-year-old walking into that store, accusing me of stealing your chocolate bars, I wouldn't give you the satisfaction of shoplifting from your store. All I'll do is rescind my business entirely as a result of you presuming that I was a shoplifter, and, you know, lead to you slowly eroding your bottom line, wondering where it all went wrong, imbuing every single one of your days with a deep sense of anxiety and dread, not knowing about what your economic future holds, till you eventually die, destitute and unfulfilled, wondering where it all went wrong. And then on your deathbed, I'll show up, like an archangel, and I'll say, you remember? You remember the kid you accused of the shoplifting? Yeah, somehow, in this concocted scenario, me rescinding my, like, 30 cents a month of business from your establishment led to your downfall. Because this is a fantasy that I concocted in the shower and has no bearing on real life. How do you feel about that? And then I'll put my fingers on his eyelids and close them, and he'll say, I'm not dead yet. And I'll say, aren't you? Aren't you? Well, anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. And, of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching. I will see you next time.